The Penre Papers. A Journey Through the Multiverse. The Second Level of Learning. http://wespenre.com. Part 4, The Fork in the Road: Humanity's Future. Humanity's Future, Paper Number 1. Life After the Nano Second, Part 1. The Dark Road Towards Extinction. By Penre, Sunday, October 21, 2012. Revised, Saturday, December 15, 2012 at 11:10 a.m. http://wespenre.com. Part 1. 1. Abstract. Walking down the darkest of paths. I cannot teach you violence, as I do not myself believe in it. I can only teach you not to bow your heads before anyone, even at the cost of your life. Mahatma Gandhi, 1869–1948. But this war in heaven was very terrible and very real. While displaying none of the barbarities so characteristic of physical warfare on the immature worlds, this conflict was far more deadly. Material life is in jeopardy in material combat, but the war in heaven was fought in terms of life eternal. Urantia Book, 606.3, 53:5.7. His paper, in many ways, is probably the most important of all the papers in the second level of learning, and probably the most important paper I have ever written. I urge the reader to view and review it very carefully, perhaps take a break and ponder, and then come back to it. Read it more than once if necessary, because this has to do directly with the survival of mankind as a species, as well as individuals, but it is also about our own personal responsibilities. It is my absolute conviction that we all need to grasp this. Some of the information herein may seem very strange to some readers, and to others perhaps even impossible and not likely. A third category of readers may find it mind-blowing and quite scary at the same time. Whatever the reaction may be, we need to know what our options are. The vast majority of mankind have no idea what the Syrians got in mind for them. So I ask you to partake in this information with a very open mind. The following famous quote comes to mind. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. Albert Einstein. Unfortunately, I have to take the reader down a path that in some ways is very dark before I can go to my favorite section, which is all about solutions. But before we move on, there are a few things I'd like to bring up. First thing is that I want to make sure that we all understand that although these papers have mainly talked about negative extraterrestrials, these are in minority out there. For the most part, star beings and star races are friendly and peaceful, but it's the negative ones who stand out, unfortunately, and we have had the misfortune of having to deal with some of the darkest ones. The universe in general is actually quite a friendly place. I really want to emphasize this one more time, because it's easy to get the wrong impression. Those who know about us humans, more star races than we may think, are very excited to meet us and make friends with us. However, many of them are quite concerned about the path the majority of mankind is going down, a path that can be very threatening to the survival for both them and us. In spite of this, they have no intentions to be violent with us or treat us badly. Most of the star races do whatever is in their power to assist, but must attend to the laws and rules of the universe. The basic ones, such as free will and non-interference, are not something a council somewhere made up because they didn't have anything else to do. These stipulations are physical and metaphysical laws which support how energies naturally flow. If these agreements are broken, there are consequences that not only affect single beings, but sometimes whole star systems, even whole galaxies. The way things are today here on Earth prevents all these benevolent star races from making contact with us. So, and I can't stress this enough, it's really up to us what we make out of this, but we don't have all the time in the world. Almost all of us know that something is quite wrong with this world, but we are hoping someone else will take care of it, and that one morning we will read in the papers that everything has changed to the better and there are no more wars, disasters, famines, and diseases. Well, it's not going to happen that way. Of course, there are good and bad individuals in all societies and amongst all star races, something I've tried to point out as well. But to avoid to make things too complex, I have addressed a whole species, such as the Syrians, as if they all have one common brain, like in a hive society. In reality, this is not the case. The same thing applies regardless if we talk about Syrians, Aryans, or any other star race out there. Still, I concluded that it's probably better if we think of these star races as archetypes when we discuss their interaction with us humans, and therefore I have generalized them as if they are all united in their efforts. They are not. There are those who do not support what is being done to humans here on Earth and choose not to participate. I just want to make this absolutely clear to the reader. The star races are presented in an archetypical manner, and their behavior, good or bad, is not representative for each and every individual of the particular species. But I also want to say that if I would meet a Syrian on the street, I would not assume that he or she is friendly. With that said, let us go ahead and discuss the last few things relating to the Syrian warlords and their interaction with mankind. This information is about you, it is about me, and it is about mankind as a species and our survival potential as a soul group. We, who live on this planet right now, are the ones who have to make the choices and hard decisions on behalf of future generations. Thank you for listening. 2. Lifting the veil. We have a chance in perhaps 1,000,000 years. Logically it would be one chance in 26,000 years, but because of the time loop we've been sitting in for I don't know how long, each cycle is not going to be this intense. Next time we are probably not going to have as much help as we do now, and perhaps there won't be a next time, either, because of the shape we're going to be in by then. So this is really it. The Earth is quarantined in more than one way. The grid is locked by the Syrians, although there are holes in it, the stargates are closed, although some of them have been opened, and not necessarily by the warlords, and we're sitting in a time loop, although many of us may break out this time. The Earth herself is vibrating on a frequency which is false and therefore very hard to find by other extraterrestrials, although many have now found their way here. As the reader can see, things are starting to happen in our favor, and the Syrians are losing ground. This is not the kind of arrival the incoming had expected after their long nap. So, the breakdown of the Syrian entrapment system is happening, but are we humans the one who have solely managed to accomplish this? The answer is no, we have had help. We have discussed that the Syrians want the numbers, but the numbers benefit us, too. The 7 billion people on the planet is a ceiling and we will not exceed that amount of people, or if we do, it's not going to be with much. The truth of the matter seems to be that since the baby boom after World War II and up until now, millions of star beings have broken through the grid and taken bodies here on Earth. Not as walk-ins, but they have come in the traditional way through the birth canal, entered baby bodies, and have grown up here. The difference between them and the common human is that they were born without amnesia, and they normally have no past lives here on Earth. Why did they come? To fight the Syrians? No, these beings do not come to fight, they are only here to help increasing the frequency so we can break the time loop and raise the vibration of the planet, so she can go through her own transition. This has been successful, apparently, because the potential future versions of Earth that were just probable realities earlier, and not yet energized, are now energized and have become true versions of our planet in the future, so I've learned. What does this mean, exactly? It means that if a certain probability of a future has been solidified, there are enough people who have put their energy into that future probability and made it into a possibility. Now we have several different versions of a future Earth that are getting occupied as we speak, and the multiverse has adjusted to these new parallel realities. This apparently happened earlier this year, or by the end of 2011. These futures that are branching out are only the beginning, however. In a way, we are all creating our own future with our own version of a future Earth. Still, there are going to be versions of Earth that stay similar to how she is now, but there are also going to be a lot of branching off into parallel worlds, vibrating on higher frequencies. Many non-physicals have seen how hard many humans work to break free. There are more people doing it behind the scenes than we know. All we can see are those who post on the internet or write books, but there are millions of people who are not showing up in public, who are quite human, working extremely hard to advance spiritually and raise their frequency. This has been noted by those not from here, and they decided to help us push through by incarnating here. There are also beings of a higher order, although not in an authoritarian way, who love the living library and have invested a lot in it. If it is being destroyed now, it's not going to be replaced, because then the vibration of this planet has sunk to such a low level that the library can no longer manifest and sustain itself here. There will be versions of Earth that are going to experience these lower energies and worse, and in these versions of Earth, there will no longer be a living library. These higher order beings, some would say they come from the angelic realm, don't look kindly upon what has been done to Earth and the library thus far. And it truly breaks my heart when I read about, like I did yesterday, how they are destroying Mother Earth's lungs by cutting down the Amazon rainforests, and it's done for profit. How can someone participate in such a crime? It is unbelievable. They are killing our host, the one and only planet which can host us humans. There is no other planet in the universe which is adapted to hosting humans. This is our world, we were born from nature, and Mother Earth is our mother in a direct sense. It's not only suicide, but also a tremendous crime against the planet itself, and the misuse of energy in this capacity has enormous consequences, as it ripples out across the universe. The benevolent star beings who are here now are really helping us solidify those parallel versions of Earth that exist in higher dimensions/densities, and thus we are hopefully going to have versions of the living library still intact. By our minds and our intentions we are drawn into realities that are now already existing, tuned into our values and our moral standards. And most interestingly, according to the Pleiadians, many beings that have been incarnated on Earth in the past have now returned. This is also why we see old-time magicians show up, repeating and continuing the magic they practiced in ancient times. Time in itself, as viewed upon from our 3D perspective, is collapsing and imploding, and all timelines are coming together. This is how we heal along the lines of time, and all issues we are working on now, in this particular lifetime, are issues spanning from 500,000 years back up until now. Now we're going to learn how to complete all our lifetimes and reunite with our higher selves, our oversouls, and become whole again from an Earth perspective. When this is done, which it will be when this current life is over, each being is free to explore the multiverse while still staying grounded on a parallel version of Earth if they wish. Or they can move on and leave the Earth experience behind, more on this later on. The reason why many probably will choose to stay here and build the new Earth is because, for one, this planet is absolutely beautiful. Look around you right now, what a variety of species, plants, rocks. It is very hard to find a planet out there with so much variety. To do that, you would need to find another living library, similar to this one, and there is supposedly only one more in this galaxy, and it's located on the opposite side of the central sun, in another spiral arm. It's not that there aren't beautiful planets out there, but not with the tremendous variety we have here on Earth. 3. Leave me alone and let someone else do my thinking. It has been brought to my attention that there are star beings, aside from the Syrians, attracted to war and feeding off of it, who have slipped in through the holes in the grid and taken baby bodies here, and if we lift ourselves up and look at planet Earth from above, we can see and feel an enormous amount of energy being released, so there are big dramas being played out here on Earth right now. This stir of energy is attracting many off-world beings. But, as things are now, everything seems to contribute towards lifting the quarantine and set those free who are willing to break their chains. Those who still want them on may be able to see the door that leads to freedom being wide open before them, but all they will do is to run towards it and close it as fast as they can. Yes, some people like their chains, because they are afraid to take the responsibility that's needed in order to break them. The small window we have had, 1987 to 2012, is soon closed, and it will be harder to absorb new information as time is slowing down and the current bombardment of gamma rays eventually diminishes. Then it's time to reap what we have sown, and it's of course important that we have something to reap. We all have to question the system, all of it, and start doing our own thinking, and we need to inspire others to do the same and give our attention to those who respond positively to our efforts. The system rewards you when you do as you've been told and punishes you when you're not. This is exactly why people have such a hard time letting go. They don't realize that they have to let go of it all to be free, they just want to let go of some of it. We have no choice but to start doing our own thinking, or we'll end up having to give our obedience to machines in a not so far away machine society, where people will move away from urban areas and into big metropolitans, thinking that there is where their only convenient future lies. This migration has already started. The town I am living in, which is relatively small, is starting to look like a ghost town. Businesses are shutting down because they no longer can stand up against the competition from merging mega companies that become bigger and bigger, and either buy out the smaller businesses, or put them out of business. This is what merging of businesses is all about. It's called oligarchy or plutocracy. Oligarchy is the form of government where a small group has the power to govern or rule. Aristotle had coined the term oligarchy as synonym for rule by the rich, which is known as plutocracy, where oligarchy now simply refers to rule of the privileged few. Even if the wealthy had military backing that was strong, they were able to rule over a nation. It's a preparation for the machine world, where only a few businesses run the corporate world, and these few businesses will all move to the metropolitans. Smaller cities will be abandoned, because the system will not support their survival. The well-informed reader may realize that when it's gone that far, the government owns all land in the country, they actually already do, but they don't tell you, and they won't allow people to build their own cities and villages on government land, which is any land, in an effort to stop any movements that refuse to follow the system. This will be a dilemma in the beginning, but enough people need to do it anyway, and in the beginning we may have to live like gypsies sometime do, moving from place to place, but so be it. After a while the government will give us reservations like they did with the American Indians, but so be it. It's not where we live that is important, not in the beginning. It's what we're doing with our minds that is important. Not even the Syrians understand what we are able to do with our bio-minds. We create our own realities, and when we strongly wish for something, we manifest it. This is how we create, or vibrate into, the new earth. But first we need to break out of the suppressive system which keeps us in chains. Then we use what we've learned from becoming multidimensional, and we change the multiverse to fit into the reality we want. Eventually, the Syrians and their machine world will no longer vibrate within the same frequency range as we do, and they cease to exist in our reality, although they will still be alive and well in another. If this sounds like science fiction to some people, they'd better think again, because this is more real than any of the illusions and delusions most people call reality. 4. Concerned star races watch us deplete other parts of the universe from energy. How long will they let us? In level I was talking about misuse of energy, and explained it as the balloon syndrome. Although there is seemingly an abundance of energy in the universe, when we are using energy excessively, we have to borrow it from somewhere. It works like a balloon, you blow air into it in one end and it expands in the other. If we all the time borrow energy and use it negatively without giving anything positive back to the universe, we are letting that energy destroy not only our own surroundings, but also other parts of the galaxy from where the energy we are using comes from. We humans are not even aware of where the energy we borrow originates from. ETS have informed humans they have been in contact with that due to what we have done. We have literally destroyed other solar systems, light years away from our own. And that also includes the life forms that were living there. Star races from near and far are watching our development here on Earth and they see how we start evolving. Albeit, some of them actually want to stop us from reaching the stars, due to our stunning ignorance and immaturity. They don't want us to bring this insanity out in the universe, they rather see the Syrians keep us in check. Not because they agree to that evolving races like us should be trapped and treated horribly, but because things are what they are. Humanity has not managed to break out of their destructive belief systems, be they religious or social/political, and these star races are rather thinking in terms of the greatest good for everybody involved rather than just thinking of our well-being. If they let us join them in the stars the way we are not going to contribute to a positive expansion of consciousness in the universe, but instead it would be like opening an asylum and let the inmates out, untreated. They don't want that, so either we shape up, or they will try to stop us from leaving the surface of this planet, and we will be left to destroy ourselves. On the other hand, they would love to have us join them, once we've grown up. The concern they have, however, is that they don't see that happen. And this may even affect those of us humans who may be more mature than others. Can the aliens trust us? Will we fall back into old patterns? There are those out there who have doubts about our whole species, and those beings are sitting in important councils, voting against letting us loose in the universe. I am going to do the best I can to explain the consequences of what we're doing. The person who does it best of all researchers I've encountered is George Lobuono, who wrote the brilliant must-read book, Alien Mind, which can be downloaded on my website, http://wespenry.com/e-books.htm. This book is not channeled, but is mostly written from first-hand experiences. Lobuono has met quite a few aliens, mind-to-mind, and face-to-face, mostly using an advanced remote viewing technique, quite similar to LPGCSN's extra neurosensor. He is using his avatar, light body, to travel the universe, and thus can do so both through space/time and time/space. Hence, there are few limits to where in location and when in time he can go. This has showed to be extremely helpful, and he has written down the conclusions from his experiences in his book, which he gives away for free as a gift to mankind. A most generous gift, I must say.